But this is a kind of sport I feel very good with, and I can go with my family, with my daughter, with my other childs. Even the dog is joining us.
Uriel and his daughter Sharon are Jews living in Jerusalem. Uriel is originally from Argentina, but his wife, Michal, has lived here her whole life.
The story of Abraham tells you about being Jewish, about being Muslim, and about the conflict.
Abraham was married to Sarah. She was his loyal companion in his drifting life, but she could not bear children. So she encouraged Abraham to have children with the handmaiden Hagar, so that he would have an heir. Abraham called on Hagar, and they had a son, Ishmael.
You know what happened? There were two wives, and Sarah was the first wife who really Abraham loved, and he saw that Hagar is taking a big, important place in the house. This story of Abraham is a telenovela, exactly, because it's a story of jealousy. Everything comes because Sarah, the wife of Abraham, didn't like that Hagar had such a good position in the home, even better than her. So everything starts from the jealousy.
Jealous, Sarah orders Abraham to send Hagar and their son Ishmael out into the desert. He doesn't like it, but does what Sarah says. With God's help, they survive in the desert, and Ishmael grows up to become the forefather of the Arab people. Abraham and Ishmael build a temple where Hagar and Ishmael settle down. This is Kaaba, the Muslims' holiest place in the city of Mecca, which is visited by millions of pilgrims every year. God had several plans for Abraham. When they're 100 years old, God tells him and Sarah that they will have a son. Sarah laughs because she is so old, but with God's help, she gives birth to Isaac, which means laughter. He became the forefather of the Jewish people.
And God came to Abraham and told him, look, we're going to do a business, an agreement. We call it Brit. You're going to make circumcision to your child, and you will have the land, the promised land. All the Jewish people, 99.9%, are doing the circumcision. And what we got from God is the land. This is a contract between Abraham and God.
According to the Old Testament, this is the eternal agreement between God and Abraham. All newborn boys of his lineage shall be circumcised, and they shall stay true to Abraham's God. In return for their trust, God gave them Canaan, but only the Jews, Isaac's descendants, would inherit the land, not the Arabs, the descendants from the eldest son, Ishmael.
And what Abraham said to God, what about Ismail? He's the lad. He said, Ismail, he said, don't worry, I'm going to take care about Ismail. I'm going to take care about his people. And I think he did take care, because they have a lot today. We believe we have all the oil, okay? But you and Sarah and your son and all the heritage, you will have the land, the blessed land. So, what happened after that, that is Hagar didn't accept it, and they went out, and Ismail became not an enemy, but they were offended. So if you start to understand what happened in that moment, you understand where it comes from. The Islamists, they became Muslims, okay? And they still believing in the same God as believe. They still doing circumcision. They still more or less eating kosher, okay? Almost the same that us. But the conflict is about the land. The original conflict, that is not a conflict of 100 years. It is a conflict about a few thousand years ago.
Judaism and Islam are two branches of the same basic monotheistic view, which is tied to Abraham. Jews and Arabs call each other cousin because their forefathers, Isaac and Ishmael, were brothers. But this must be a question of faith.
It doesn't matter if I believe or not. It doesn't matter. The people believe the story, and that's the reason of the conflict. Though both people are believed to the rights of the same land. It doesn't matter if I believe or not. I don't need to believe in it. I live the story. So, when you live something, you don't need to believe. I am part of this.
The matzah is the special bread that we are eating in Pesach. It said the Jews, when they had to leave the desert, they didn't have time for the dough to, to go up, and they had to move fast, so they did the bread and very tight. And this is a symbol for that bread, the bread that is called matzah. Okay.
Uriel's wife, Michal, is not religious at all. She has no God.
I don't exactly relate to the, all these things with God that talked and so on and so on. This is something that I cannot concept. I cannot see them, that God is talking to Abraham and telling him so and so. When I start thinking of God, I think that there are so many other, besides, Israel, we think that we are the
elected.
The elected people, that we are supposed to be, we have the truth. But I'm saying there are the Chinese, the Buddhism, the people all over the world, and each one of them have another kind of religion and way of thinking about it.
We have to go back to Abraham again.
There is a very basic question of our people, for example. Why are we here in Israel? If you don't believe in God, and you don't think that God gave Israel to the Jewish people, so why are we insisting of being in this place?
Why?
And this is one of the questions that when Uriel is asking me, it puts me, against the wall, and I don't exactly know what kind of an answer I can give. But still, tradition is part of you being a part of a group. I don't know. I do feel very Jewish, even though I'm not religious. They're bound one in the other. This is the problem. That I'm saying, okay, let's keep just tradition, and one say, let's keep the religion. But somehow they are in between themselves, because tradition itself has inside lots of things that are connected with religion. For example, if we are having this, I'm eating this matzah not because I think that God is forbidding me to eat the bread. I don't believe in it. But still I am eating it because I think it's tradition.
And because it is tradition, of course the son is circumcised.
I don't want my son to be different than others. When he goes to the showers in the army with the other boys, so he should be different.
That was the only reason? Only because he don't want him to be different?
I don't think so.